Hello and welcome back once again to Wexford Paranormal TV. I'm Michael Benson from Wexford Paranormal. Tonight what we're going to talk about is a device called a Frank's box. Now this Frank's box is basically a converted AM radio, slightly adapted so that it doesn't necessarily lock onto a station, but instead will consistently scan back and forward across the frequency band. And what it does then is, in theory, if you ask for communication and ask specific questions, that a presence, if it's in the environment, can manipulate and use the radio stations and the frequencies to construct a response to your question, which you will actually hear in real time at the time that you've asked it. Okay. Very often with a Frank's box as well, what happens is that terms like EVP or electronic voice phenomena get bandied about in the same sentence, but really we need to look a bit closer at that, because there's a number of classifications that we need to talk about so that we're clear as to which one is most relevant to the Frank's box. A traditional EVP, or a traditional electronic voice phenomena, is something that's captured on a recording device, whether it's analog or digital, but that at the time it's recorded, it wasn't heard by the people in the environment. So it's only afterwards, when you listen back to your recording, that you hear the voices on the cassette or on the digital recorder. Another type of classification is the disembodied voice. It's not too dissimilar to an electronic voice phenomenon in the conventional sense, other than, as well as being captured on a recorder, it is also heard in the environment at the time by the people present, but that it's a source of conversation or voice that nobody can rationally point to and explain where it's coming from at the time. The third classification is one called instrumental telecommunication, or ITC, and that's the one that most directly relates to the Frank's box. Now, over the years, many people have dabbled in instrumental transcommunication, such people as Thomas Edison, others like Nicholas Tesla, or even in the mid-1970s, two guys, Meek and O'Neill, developed a device called the Spiricom, and arguably it's from there then that the Frank's box developed as well. Okay, now I'm going to give some examples later on of types of responses that we've captured with the Frank's box, but you know, the people who would argue against its effectiveness or its use in the field of paranormal investigation and paranormal research would suggest that it's simply the fact that because it's scanning radio frequencies, that it's simply picking up on excerpts and selections and samples of the radio stations that are in the area, and it's actually those that you're hearing and not specifically responses to the questions you might ask. Now, rationally speaking, that's a sound argument, and one that I would be prepared to accept, other than the number of opportunities we've had to use the Frank's box ourselves and the types of responses that we've had to the questions we've asked. So for example, if we asked a question and there was a one-word response, we would attempt to rule out, again, as much as we can, random chance by asking that question on a subsequent or a number of other occasions. For example, can you tell us your name? Sure. Can you tell us your name again, please? Can I ask you just to say that for us once more? Can you please tell us your name? So that was an example of one that we had captured in Enniscorthy Castle, and Jim was the response, and as you saw, we asked it for a second time where it said Jim, and on a third time of asking, you could almost sense that there was sentiment of annoyance with it, because he said, my name is Jim, as much as to say, you know, how many more times is that question going to be asked? On another occasion at an investigation, we were working underneath a set, and one of the new investigators that I was working with at the time had been leaving her torch on. So I had suggested to her on numerous occasions to turn off her torch. During the investigation, while using the Frank's box, we asked the question, do you know the name of the investigator that had the torch on earlier? Tell us the name of the lady who had the torch on earlier. Now that's a pretty specific question, and the response we got through the Frank's box was, I don't know that woman. Now, realistically, what are the chances that at the time we asked the question, do you know the name of the person who had the torch on earlier, that we would have gotten an answer to the effect of, I don't know that woman? So, I mean, again, draw your own conclusions about this. What I'm sharing with you now are some of the experiences we've had of using the device that we're talking about tonight, the Franks box. So we're going to leave it there with regard to the Franks box. There's many other aspects we could discuss. We could talk about frequency ranges and the human ear and in 3 hertz to 12 hertz, etc., etc. But really that's for another day and for another discussion. In the meantime, if you'd like to find out more about what we do, you can visit our website, which is www.wexfordparanormal.org, or you can check out our Facebook page, which is simply Friends of Wexford Paranormal, and you'll find us there. Send us a request to join if you're not already a member. We'd love to see you with us, and any questions and comments you might have, we'd be happy to have you and share with us and with the group. So in the meantime, and until next time, stay safe out there, especially in the dark.